When are you considered an entrepreneur?
The longer you are an employer, the more you learn that there are these lines that you simply should not cross.
No, I don't think you're mature for feeling this way, but you shouldn't feel this way. And I'll tell you why. All right, Gummy. Welcome back, my friend.
How are you?
I'm good. I was away last week. Well, I mean, I was here and then I went away.
And then you came back.
And then I came back.
That's why we're here.
Yes.
It'd be hard for us to be here if you weren't
That's
here.
right. That's right.
Then I could record the other half of the episode.
That's true. Yes, the one where only I was talking because I never started your camera. Yes, that's true. You should have done that. That makes some really good.
I could have played your section on a screen.
That's right.
And
or put it in your headphones.
Yes.
And just listen.
That would have been pretty cool.
We should have done that. That would have been interesting. So what's going on? What's going on in the world? DeepSeek.
Oh,
what the heck? What's up with that?
I don't think there's. So here's my theory on this.
Yes.
Right. You know, people are like, oh, they found a much better way to do it, and then you're falling behind, and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So somebody found a better way to do something. It doesn't mean we're going to need any less computing power. It doesn't mean there's going to be any fewer server centers built. It just means, okay, when they found a way to make the car more fuel efficient, did we build fewer cars?
No.
Right. Like anything that we found a way to make more efficient doesn't mean that we've needed less materials to support it. It generally means we adopt it and use it more faster.
Yeah,
right?
I think the concern is that it's China now supposedly has better AI technology than we do. What does that mean for the U.S.? So it just means that we're going to build the next better mousetrap. That's all.
And what is better?
Right.
Right.
What makes it better?
It performed better on these things. Okay, I still can't build a custom GPT and train it on my data that doesn't get submitted to the company that they can now use for training.
Right.
Is that better? Because I think that's better. If I'm building a custom GPT and uploading proprietary data, I'd like to know that they aren't using it, right? Which, if you read the terms and conditions on the Chinese one, which I'll guarantee you nobody that signed up read them, it basically says that all your data input, output is theirs. They can use it however they want, do with what, while on the US version side, they're very clear about who owns what, who owns the input, who owns the output.
There's more protections for privacy on the US side of things.
So if you're a consumer and you're just, I don't know, asking it random questions, by the way, I challenge anybody that has DeepSeek to ask it what really happened at Tiananmen Square.
Right. And it's going to give you a wonderful answer.
It's gonna give you a no answer, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I am glad that they found a new way to do it, and hopefully other firms, especially because it's open source. I mean, Zuckerberg already came out and said, you know, they got new ideas for how they can approach their AI. And I'm like, this is brilliant. Like, if anything, it's going to advance things more.
Exactly. And I agree with that. And so, yeah, everyone's up in arms. The market took a crash and everything. It's like, really? I mean, someone else is going to come up with something better.
Yes.
And then you'll build something better than that. And then someone else will build something better than you.
I will guarantee you that there is somebody right now in India or Israel or Pakistan where they have brilliant programmers that are going to make an even better version of whatever it is that they're doing, right?
Yeah.
Like they're going to make a, whatever you want to call it, a DeepSeek version 7. And then everybody's going to be up in arms that India now has better AI technology, right? Like, and you're like, no, this is how development works. That's why they call it development.
And it'll get better and better, and someone's always going to overtake somebody else. But that's what competition does.
That's part of it. Like, this is global capitalism.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, that's what the space race was.
I know.
We only got to the moon because we wanted to beat Russia there.
100%.
Right?
I mean, a lot of technology advances this way, right? Yeah. Like, look at almost all military technology advances because you want to be ahead of the next guy, right? Yep. What was it? The U.S. made what? The mother of all bombs?
Yeah.
Right?
Moab,
Yep. And what did Russia do? They made the father of all bombs, right? Which is what, like 2% bigger? but it's bigger, right? Like it's
it's crazy, but it is really it's really crazy how it affected the market. I mean, the market just utterly crashed.
My personal opinion on that, right, is anybody that's been in the market for an extended period of time, like we all saw a downturn in 2022, like all of my portfolios like tanked out. I was like, should I get out of this market? And then it, boomed through 24 and into 25. And then I was looking at the graph for my portfolio, like market tanking. And I was looking at it compared to the last 3 years. And it is literally a blip on the radar, right? In the grand scheme of things, when you look over 3 years. And if you're an investor, you're not looking at today and tomorrow and yesterday, right? Like you're looking long.
You're looking at long-term trends.
So like, yes, it took a dip, but I think it goes to show how much investment there was in technology and support services for a technology that people did not understand.
Right.
So I think a lot of like large investors that didn't understand what this meant and heard these numbers thrown out like, oh, it only cost $6 million, right? I mean,
well, that's the headline.
Yeah, screw the fact that it was trained probably on OpenAI data, right? Which is now coming out.
Which it probably was.
Oh, it
was.
Microsoft is already pulling that.
Is that right?
Yeah, they created an API connection to OpenAI, and that's where they got
So you're saying the Chinese took our intellectual property and made their own?
They would never.
No.
They would never.
No, I wouldn't. That's not a thing.
But and so to me, it just showed, because like I invest heavily in like green energy, electric vehicles. Like I bought into Lucid early on. I bought into Tesla early on. I buy a lot of like AI technology, defense technology. Like I've been buying Palantir stock for like the last 3 years, 4 years, ever since they went public. I started buying NVIDIA back in 2021. Like right after when did they announce ChatGPT? Was that 2022?
2022.
It was 22? Yeah. So January, when I got to play with ChatGPT for the first time, I was like, I got to know what technology this runs on because it's going to be huge. And then I found out it was all NVIDIA chips.
Yeah.
So I started buying NVIDIA chips that year.
Ah, okay.
They've gone up 600%.
Oh, I know.
Since
It's
then.
insane.
Like it's insane. But I just think that what is going on now is people that are pulling the money from this, is they just don't understand that this is the next logical level when you have competitors building against each other and releasing the open source code.
Yeah.
Right? This is what's going to happen. It doesn't mean that you're going to need fewer chips. It doesn't mean that a lot of these current ones are going to get obsolete. No, they're going to take what they have, learn from this new stuff, and make that stuff better.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and there's going to be, if they have found a way, and I haven't really had time to look into DeepSeek and how it functions and all that stuff, right? But my understanding is that they were able to compartmentalize certain things, right? So rather than being a giant library with all the books in it,
right,
they made compartments. So they made, the legal library. They made the newspaper library. So now instead of having to like go through the entire library to find an answer, it can go to the right department or the right sub-library.
So based on your prompt, it knows what kind of sub-library, so to speak, it's
Correct.
looking for, compartment it's looking for, and then looks for the answers only within that.
Correct.
That makes sense.
So what it does not do, from what I understand, is what the new OpenAI model does is, and there was a guy that explained this, is like, so if it's a library, you put in a prompt, ChatGPT goes into the library, they pull a book, and they read the answer from that one book.
Okay.
Right? Like that's how it used to work.
Yeah.
Now with a new OpenAI model, what they're saying is that it now goes in and it pulls a book and it reads from it and it goes, let me verify this information. And it pulls a second book to see if there's anything contradicting in that book.
Mm-hmm.
And if there is, it'll pull a third book before giving you an answer.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it's kind of interesting how it seems to be evolving in wanting to give you better, more accurate answers again. Because I remember when it first launched, right? Dude, it was amazing.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
And then it got dumbed down.
it got dumbed down because people were asking really broad questions. So it seemed that people preferred the broadest answer rather than a specific answer.
Yep.
Right. So if you're in an industry and you're using it for your industry, you now have to like use 2 prompts to get the answer you previously got in 1.
Right.
But like, I get it. It's what happens with mass adoption, right? Like, you have to go with, I'm not going to say the lowest denominator, but like not the ultimate answer that a professional would be looking for.
Right.
So yeah, I'm curious just to see how like they're going to stack up. All of them are going to get better.
Yeah. And then and it's only a matter of time before you start combining the 2 big technologies of this day, which is AI and quantum computing.
Oh yeah.
And once you do that,
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't think people understand the power of a quantum computer.
No.
You could take the world's largest supercomputer right now, multiply it by about 1 trillion, and it's still not as powerful as a quantum computer.
Yep. I forget. Google just put out an announcement not too long ago about their quantum chip that they're working on. Like how many calculations they can do.
Oh,
per
it's solved.
second.
There was a big paper on it where there was a math problem that was previously unsolvable that the quantum computer solved in less than a second that a supercomputer would have taken, I think, 10 million years to solve.
Yeah, it was something stupid.
Yeah.
Right? Like, yeah, it's once again.
I love quantum computing. Oh, I can do a whole talk on it. I love it.
But it's just interesting because this is following the evolution of anything else we've ever invented, right? Is we start with like, I still remember seeing pictures of the first IBM computer being moved into the office.
ENIAC.
Right? It took up an entire room.
Yes.
Right? And it has...
It was a building actually at one point.
And
the whole building.
And it has what? Less computing power than a cell phone has today?
It had the cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had those data cards that you had to feed into it to make it do anything.
So it was, and that took what? When was that computer loaded in? 60s? 60s?
Early 60s, I think. Late 50s, early 60s.
So by the time the first iPhone launched, you had a device in your pocket
50 years later.
That was 1,000 times more powerful.
Oh, there's more technology in your phone than there was in the space shuttle.
Yeah.
Not the space shuttle. Yeah, I guess the space shuttle too, probably. Yeah. Certainly the Atlas rockets and such.
So like people thinking that this technology isn't going to advance and evolve, and just because a new model comes out that's like ooh and ah.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's not it. It's just not it.
Well, let's see what's on the menu for today, shall we? We are in startup ideas.
Oh.
Let's see.
Sometimes there's really good ones in there.
Okay, let's see. Hey, if you're having a good time, don't forget to subscribe to our channel.
Oh, and press the like button. Leave a comment.
Do you like the like button?
I like the like button.
I really like the like button.
Do you know what I love, though?
What?
Comments. I love comments.
Comments are great.
Especially if they're questions that we can get to and actually answer.
That's right. So leave us some comments and we'll get back to you on those.
Okay.
Let's get back to it. So this is, let's see, had a messy SaaS launch. But Butterfly Effect brought in over 600 users in 3 weeks. Okay, let's see what we got. This is from Healthy Feedback 4245, who says, turn my screen a little bit, much better. The last 3 weeks, I launched a SaaS I'd been developing for a few weeks, just a few weeks. Good for you. Oh. By launched, I mean I planned a strategy centered around a product hunt release and leverage social platforms like Reddit, LinkedIn, etc. to spread the word. Mm-hmm. The purpose of the launch. In my view, the purpose of a launch is to test the market's appetite for your product. I agree. Absolutely. Then it goes into a little bit more about organic growth and such. Product hunt experience. I ended up as the number 15th product on the day of the product hunt on January 14th, 2024. That's not too bad, but it wasn't enough to tap into the platform's massive audience potential. I did feel a bit disappointed in the system because once competition starts, you're inundated with offers for paid upvotes. Yeah, that is unfortunately a thing.
Just like you're getting inundated with, like once you hit a certain number of social followers, you get inundated with people offering to get you more followers.
Of course they do.
Yeah, it's all the same.
Then 48 hours, just when I thought everything would slow down, new users started pouring in. I was quite surprised when I saw all the users suddenly appear. A quick look at Google Analytics showed that about half of the traffic was coming from Superhuman, one of the most famous AI newsletters. I happened to subscribe, so I checked the latest issue and found my product listed among the 5 most productive tools. It was an amazing and unexpected surprise. Proof that hard work finally is paying off. Well, that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. I mean, personal thinkings, nobody knows if it'll work or not. Follow your instinct, gather evidence, keep showing up. Consistency will pay off in the end. Believe in the butterfly effect. It's kind of cool. I don't know if that's necessarily the butterfly effect, but it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
No, that's great. So things like that do happen,
and
right?
This is exactly what I tell people all the time, right? Like soft launch a product, see if someone will buy it, or even have people sign up and pay a deposit. Like this is exactly how you do it. This gives you a test to see whether or not there actually might be a paid user base. Right. So I saw he put some numbers in there on free versus paid users. Well, you have proof of concept that there are people that are willing to pay for it, right? Those 4 people saw something that they were willing to pay for.
Right.
Dig into those 4. Why did those 4 sign up? Why were they willing to pay? Now, all of a sudden, you can start furthering your software because you found your niche market. You found your niche starting market.
Right.
Right. And yeah, I agree. This is how you should do it. Try to leverage organic for your soft launch. Get someone to write you a check or swipe their credit card.
Right.
Once they do that, it's basically proof of concept. And now you just have to do the market calculation to see whether or not the market is big enough to sustain it.
And here's where I think this person kind of fell backward into, it sounds like. A lot of times people will say, I'm going to build a product in order to sell it. Mm-hmm. And that's it. They're more worried about the sales than the product itself. Mm-hmm. It sounds like this person just built a great product and then went out and tried to sell it, which is why this Superhuman picked it up, because it seems like it's whatever it is, it's a good product. Right? Because too many companies or people go out there and they build something, but they build it just with the idea of sales in mind, as opposed to trying to just build something really damn good.
Yes.
And when you do build something that's really good, people will find it. It will be talked about. It will be on someone's comments somewhere. It will be on a post somewhere. It will get picked up by things like this. And that's where the real traffic comes from.
Yeah, and it's the numbers, right? Like it's all a numbers game. And he seemed to have the right idea that he started with certain platforms, started promoting it, and then ultimately it started getting picked up. Someone looked at it, said, hey, this is a cool product. It's back to the Yeti theory, right? Like find the campers, right? A few good campers or fishermen are going to love this product and they're going to tell the rest.
So healthy feedback 4245. This is cool. I like this. I don't know what your product does. It doesn't really go into too much detail, but then again, this isn't a sales pitch on here, which I like as well.
I do too.
So thank you for just giving us your story and what happened to you. That's awesome. It's basically a motivational story for people who are struggling, and that, hey, things do happen.
They do.
Which is kind of cool.
So things happen when you make an effort.
Oh, sure.
Right.
Yeah. Right. It doesn't just happen out of nowhere.
But he actually made an effort.
Yeah.
Which is where so many people go wrong. Because I just did a TikTok video earlier in the week where I was saying, you make big choices and you make small choices and you make everyday choices, right? And most people think it's the big choices that impact their life the most. Mm-hmm. I always argue that it's all the little choices you make every day. That's really what ultimately has made the biggest difference over time.
Gotcha.
Right. So
yeah, I agree.
If I use the example, like if you sit around and you are thinking about doing something and you spend all your time thinking about doing the thing and never do the thing, then your choice to not do it is far more important because you chose inactivity instead of doing something.
Right.
Right. But if you would have started instead of just thinking, that could now be a reality versus being overanalyzed.
Yeah, true.
So
Yeah.
that's just my theory.
So good luck to you. If you get a chance, put something in the comments. Let us
Yeah,
know what the actual product is. It'd be kind of
love
cool
to
to
know.
check it out. All right, let's see what we have here. I made a tool that gives feedback to product ideas. What do you think?
Mhm.
Looks
Looks like
a pitch. Is a pitch.
it's a
It's
well. He wants you to check out the link. to
Yeah,
see
I'm
it.
good. Oh, it's the same guy. Healthy feedback. Oh, that's what it is.
Oh,
Oh, wait. Now I got to see this. Hold on.
now we have to look.
So let's see here. Curious what people think. Let's see what it is.
Oh,
Oh, he's got a bunch of them.
yeah. So I actually saw there was another person that literally just launched something similar.
Really?
It's called Develop in Public.
Oh, okay.
So you put up your project,
Yep.
you put up your milestones, and you develop it in public so people can see where you are in your project and how you're doing. And
Oh, that's pretty cool.
I think
like
you can
that.
get help from users. You can upvote, downvote.
Right.
It gives people an idea of whether or not the project they're working on, if people seem
Right.
to like it or not, which can be good and bad. Because you could have a great product that people don't understand and
Yep.
therefore think it's a bad idea, but you could have something that you're unsure of, but people seem to get what you're doing, and therefore you actually keep on developing it, whatever the
That's pretty
product
cool.
is.
All right. So let's see what else we got on the list today.
I kind of scrolled through. I didn't see a ton that were like,
Let's see.
Interesting.
Fitness idle game idea continued. Huh? I'm kind of curious. You curious?
Let's take a look.
I'm curious. All right, this is from Massive Common 3007. I revised the idea for my Fitness Idol RPG game idea, and I have given all comments I've received serious consideration. People talk bad about my landing page, so I revamped it this week. I realized that people didn't understand my idea because I didn't explain the flow of the game. So here are the mechanics of the game. Let me know what you think, and if anyone's interested to sign up, etc., etc. All right, so work. So it's work, plug and play, work. Players will perform their already existing workout or choose to follow a workout that another user has shared with them. If user 1 sees user 1 with the specific gear they want, user 1 can ask user 2 for their specific workout shared through the app. A workout could be anything from stretching to medication to powerlifting to cardio. Plug. Players will input their workouts into the app's tracker. They can quickly copy forward previous workouts to make the process less tedious. After plugging in new workouts, players will be granted stat increases specific to the workout's respective stat. The player will gain relatively similar XP from one workout to the same workout with higher volume. It's kind of, I see where they're going with this. Volume cheating. With the progression mechanics stated above, players would have to plug in massive amounts of volume to game the system. A verification system will be in place where a vetted community of lifters will be able to verify lifts submitted by the mass community. Upon verification, the user will receive a verification badge next to the specific lift. Energy. Players will be limited to a certain amount of plugins a week, deterring people from abusing plugin frequency. Then it just talks about stats and things like that. So here's the play. Players will be able to begin quests for the chance to obtain certain rewards. These quests will be categorized by level of fitness and sex. The stat that will be in play during the quest will be shown to players so that they can optimize their gear to better their chance of getting the desired loot. And then it just goes on explaining a little bit more about that. So basically, that's kind of cool. So it's like, it's an RPG game, right? Role-playing game, where instead of, finding a sword and buying it and killing a dragon or something, you're doing workouts.
Yep.
And you're gaining XP and probably in play whatever their currency is through doing some type of workout, lifting, running, jumping, something like that.
Yeah.
That's kind of a cool idea. I like that. You know what it is? It's gamification. He's gamifying the workout routine.
Yep.
That's kind of cool.
Ready Player One.
Ready Player One. Something tells me without the VR goggles, but possibly, yeah. No, cool. That's actually a pretty interesting idea.
honestly, if you're imitating a workout,
Yeah.
VR goggles would actually be cool for this.
I don't think it's supposed to be imitating it. You're supposed to be doing it.
I thought you said if someone does it, then you can replicate the same workout and get.
Oh yeah, I'm saying with
Yeah.
but I mean, people do. I go on YouTube and I'll say, okay, how do I do this exercise? And then I go and do that exercise. I don't just pretend to do it.
Okay.
Like I'm actually doing it. So I think the point is you're supposed to actually be working out. But when you're working out, you're gamifying it. You're turning it into an RPG game where you're getting more reward than just the actual workout routine. That's kind of cool.
So I have to do it on video?
Well, that's what it seems like in order to earn your experience points. Yeah. How else are you going to verify that you did it?
Yeah.
Otherwise, people, oh yeah, I ran 5 miles today. No, you didn't. Put the bag of chips down and do something.
I don't know. I think VRing this would be kind of cool though.
Oh, VR would be fantastic.
Because you could wear your
then you're in like,
you could do the lifts, the reps, all with VR goggles.
Absolutely.
And use the VR goggles to track all of it.
Or it'd be even better is AR.
Oh yeah.
Augmented reality.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be even better.
Get a pair of meta glasses and
Yep.
build all the tracking into it.
And for people that don't know the difference between virtual reality and augmented reality, virtual reality is what you have now with the Oculus and such, where everything is completely in the world of that whatever screen you're looking at. Whereas augmented reality is you're wearing glasses like Gummy has on now, and it's showing you the real world, but it's augmenting it by adding things to it. Like, for example, I have this drink here. If I'm looking at it, it can show me, what it is, where I can find it at, how much I could buy it for, or it could make somebody that's not real appear in my line of vision, and I could be talking to an assistant that isn't really there.
Well, or even better, it could do what my glasses do and make you look like J-Lo.
Yeah, sure.
That's how I can sit here and look at you for
Is
so
that
long.
right? So augmented reality would be really cool for this, although we're not quite there yet.
No, that's what the meta glasses are trying to achieve.
Yeah.
And I just saw they were releasing a new model, I think, this year. So they only made like a few hundred that are being tested by staff and stuff, and they're working on it. The challenge is being able to project something, like getting that technology small enough that it can actually project onto the inside of the glass so you can see it.
And then imagine when it goes to contact lenses, which it will eventually.
Well, yeah, just like the microchips.
Just a matter of time.
We went from microchips to microchips.
Right.
Right. Like
to 1,000 of these sit in one of these now, Yeah. So, so no, this is cool. I love taking real world things and gamifying them. I love that. I think that is such a cool idea, no matter what it is. You turn something into a fun activity, because a lot of people like to go to the gym and work out, and that's fun for them. Most people, I would say, go to the gym because they have to, because it's healthy to do, but I don't know that they necessarily enjoy it as much.
Or find it fun.
Right. Or they don't find it fun. They just find that it's something that they have to do, almost like a chore. This could be something that turns it into something fun.
Yeah.
Right. You get a group of guys together, a group of girls together, or a mix of the two, and everyone's competing against each other for higher XP, better rewards, things like that. I could see people using this as not an excuse, but as motivation to go to the gym.
I could just see the U.S. Olympic team signing up as a guild.
Oh, it'd be great.
Try to keep up with them.
Try to keep up with them. Yeah. No kidding. My gosh. But no, that's funny actually. But no, it's like this kind of thing is stuff like it's really cool.
You got to outrun this guy. What?
Oh yeah, right. Good luck with that. Usain Bolt's got you. Yeah, go beat that guy. No, this like I said, it's a really interesting idea. So I might have to go check that out later on. I'm really curious. Curious what it does.
I might check it out later too.
Yeah. So Massive Common 3007. Cool idea. And I'm glad it's not just an idea. It looks like it's something he's actually built.
Yeah. He's working on it.
Yeah, he's working on it. Well, he's got a launch. He said it's already. Oh no, it's on wait list. Okay.
Yep.
So it's on wait list right now, which is cool. That's awesome.
Exactly what we tell people to do.
Exactly.
Start a wait list. See how many people will sign up.
All right. Let's see.
Ideally, add to the wait list that they can do a pre-order.
Yeah.
Give them a discount for pre-ordering.
Right.
That is refundable if it doesn't launch.
Yes, I like that. That's a good idea too. All right. I like this. Let's see. You've got, so this is from FunHat6813. You've got $10,000 and 90 days to build and launch an MVP for your startup idea. You've got, so it says you got $10,000, 90 days to build. Do you hire a freelancer, use a dev shop, or consider something else like a no code, a subscription model, etc.? How do you prioritize speed, cost, and flexibility? Okay, well, you're not hiring a shop. I'll tell you that. Not for 10 grand. You're not doing anything for 10 grand. You get a splash page if you're lucky. That's about it. Freelancer, maybe. I'm assuming this person means that they don't know how to code. Maybe that's what I do with the $10,000. Go learn the code.
I would. Well, don't do that in 90 days.
No, you're not doing it in 90 days. I'll tell you that.
I'm just curious. Like this is always the stuff that blows my mind. Is why are people so obsessed with putting time frames on stuff? Like if you had $10,000 and a year, right? Like why is it 90 days? What is so urgent?
Well, because a lot of times people have to put timelines on themselves before they determine, okay, this isn't going to work. I have to go back to the workforce and make money.
No,
right? They might have rent. They might have a family.
I get it. But if he's looking to hire someone, get a freelancer or whatever, he's obviously looking to spend the money on something.
Sure. But maybe he only has a period of time to get this thing done.
Yeah, but
at which point, you know what? Don't do it then.
I know. That's kind of my point.
I know. Right? I know where you're going with this. But the question you ask is why do people impose these timelines? And the reason is, I would say, a lot of times is because they don't realize that you can't go into this with that. But they put these timelines in their own heads because, like, if I don't do it in 3, 4, or 5 months, I got to get a job. I got to go back into the workforce. My savings will run out.
I get it. But like, if you're starting a startup, like if you're literally starting, putting artificial timelines on yourself, like if it's to keep you motivated, that's one thing. But if you think you're realistically going to launch a good product of any sort in 90 days, right? Like ask an artist how long it takes to record, produce, promote, and get a single out there.
One song,
yeah, right. I always remember what's her name, Jax. Do you remember Jax? I think she was on like American Idol or something, came in like 7th. She was always like middle of the road performer. Like she's not anything to write home about, so to speak. I mean, she's good.
Yep.
She did a TikTok song or recorded a song for this girl that she babysits, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
And they released like a clip of the song on TikTok. And the producers and everybody freaked out because now she had to, the video hit like multi-million views, right? So she had to rush and get the song fully recorded and produced and everything. And they were trying to get it done in like a week. And everybody was freaking out because the song had already gotten popular, but I don't think there was a full song to go with it. So like they were freaking out because of the time frame. And I think the average person thinks, oh, how hard can it be? You just go into the studio, you know, it takes 6 minutes to sing the song. So it should just be recorded, produced, and then you should release it and you're done, right?
Right. Is that easy, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's how Elvis did it.
Everything is that easy, right? I just think a lot of times when people are self-imposing timelines on something they don't fully comprehend, they're painting themselves into a corner because you now have this artificial timeline for something you might not understand. And people tend to, yes, if they don't set a timeline, they never do it. But if you set a timeline that's too close, you almost go into this self-defeat, like, oh my God, I can't believe it.
And what happens if you don't hit it?
Exactly.
What happens if it's 95 days instead of 90? What if it's 100 days? So what? Okay. What happens? Does your world end? Does whatever you were building magically disappear at that point?
It's just, once again, I don't like artificial timelines for any type of startup. I don't care if you're starting a like window washing business or a software, right? Like don't impose artificial timelines on yourself.
You can impose timelines for steps. Mm-hmm. I'm going to form my LLC. I want that done by February 8th. And I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. I'm going to have steps along the way I can see.
I'm going to get 1,000 flyers printed my first week. And I'm going to distribute those flyers the second week, right? Well, if you happen to get busy after distributing the first 300 flyers,
Right.
you won't do the other 700, right?
Exactly.
But imposing artificial timelines to me is just, yes, a project should have timelines, but you need to be flexible. You need to understand what you're getting into.
Yeah.
I don't think most people do.
And that's an interesting point as well, because how are you going to set a timeline on something you don't understand entirely, right?
That's kind of what I get with this is it seems like he doesn't know whether to prioritize speed, cost, or flexibility. Well, you're prioritizing speed because you're
posing a
correct.
timeline, right?
Yes. You've prioritized cost because you have a budget. So
and it doesn't tell you as much flexibility.
The only thing you have left is flexibility, and you can't prioritize it because you have a budget and a timeline.
Yeah.
So there's no flexibility.
So the question, so let's work this out for him, okay? That's not the question to be asking. The question isn't, what can I do in 90 days with 10 grand? That's not the question.
No.
The question you should be asking yourself is, okay, if I have the budget of $10,000, what can I do with that $10,000 to start my business? Okay. What is that business? First off, okay. If it's something where you need supplies, need to buy some machinery, is 10,000 going to be enough? Right? If it's something like we keep talking about, starting a cleaning business, you need a mop and a bucket or some spray. You can go to Walmart and get that tomorrow. Well, it's not going to cost you 10 grand.
Right.
Right. So what are you going to do with that 10 grand? Is it going toward marketing? Is it going towards your formation? Is it going toward something else?
I think people need to understand what they're really asking, right? Because they're asking he's using MVP.
Yeah.
Right. Minimal viable product.
Yeah.
Right. So let's say you wanted to make candy, because candy is a great.
Sure.
Okay. So the minimal viable product for that would be whatever candy you have in the absolute cheapest wrapper on hand.
Yep.
That's a minimum viable product, right? So no fancy packaging, no labeling, no barcodes, no nothing, right? It's literally just your candy wrapped in cellophane. That is a minimum viable product.
Yep.
Could you do that for 10 grand in 90 days?
Yeah,
probably.
Absolutely.
Right.
Or we do it for $500.
Right. Could you intend for that product to be in every 7-Eleven in 180 days with a minimal, correct,
no,
right?
Not.
So like 10K, 90 days, launch a minimal viable product. There's a bunch of them that you could, but that doesn't mean you'll ever make your 10 grand back, or it doesn't mean that you make it to step 2. It doesn't mean you go into mass production. It doesn't mean any of those things. So I don't know. So, and startup idea is so broad, right? Do you hire a freelancer? Freelancer to do what?
To do what? Right.
Come up with a recipe, right? Do you go hire a chef because you want to, these questions are just weird.
Well, they're very generic. Well, they're generic, and sometimes people don't know what questions to ask. Now, it sounds to me like this person is definitely talking about some type of tech, right? Because they're talking about dev shop and no code and things like that. So they're talking about likely either an app or some kind of SaaS product.
So I'm going to say 10K and 90 days, build a game.
Yeah. Build a game.
Build a game.
Yeah.
Your revenue comes from ads and in-game purchases. And you could probably have a minimal viable game up and running in 90 days.
I'll be honest with you, 90 days is going to be really tight, and I'll tell you why. If you could start coding today, you could do it in 90 days.
Yep.
The problem with the game is you got to lay it out first. You got to figure out what the game is, how it's going to play.
Go look at someone else's game and make a slight variation of it.
Oh, please.
No, don't please me. Really? Coke, Pepsi? How far apart are they? RC Cola?
No, make your own game.
Yeah, but who give me one game in the last 10 years that is not a slight variation of someone else's game?
I mean, I've released 2 games that weren't.
Name them.
My Let Me Out, which is it's a maze game, right? It's a unique spin on mazes. I think so.
So it's a maze game.
It's a maze game.
So it's a spin-off of a different game.
Oh, come on, you can't say that.
I can.
No. If you're saying like a game that is unlike any other game in the world, okay, fine. Then no, You don't need to do that.
Every game that has launched over the last 10 years is pretty much a variation of a different game.
Okay, I think that statement is different than take an existing game and change it slightly. That's different.
Any of these first-person shooter games,
right?
They all derive back to the same first-person shooter game,
Dude.
right? Wolfenstein.
No, Wolfenstein was first. That's
yes,
right.
It was
Wolfenstein.
Right?
I had this argument with somebody before.
Every other first-person shooter game is just an advancement of Wolfenstein. It is a different environment, different weapons, different scenery, different whether you're working solo or working with a team, even like the Rainbow Six games. All of these games are just an advancement or a slight modification of each other, right? It's slightly better graphics, slightly better accuracy for the weapons. Like I remember when we were playing, so a buddy of mine is a coder, right? So he hacked, we were playing, what was it? What was the game where you worked together as a team, a military team, and they gave you these missions you had to complete?
Call of Duty?
No, it wasn't Call of Duty. It's one of the Tom Clancy games, I think.
Oh, I don't remember.
But anyway, so he was a coder and he loved firearms.
Yeah.
And he figured out that the firearms in the game weren't accurate. So the drop rate on the bullets and stuff like that wasn't accurate. So he literally hacked the game and modified all the weapons so that they were like
more accurate.
Yes. Right. But basically he took the game and made it better. Yeah. Right. Same game, but now it's better because now your handgun couldn't.
Yeah, but that's not the same. That's not creating a new game.
No,
that's modifying something that's already out there.
And that is my point, right? Like every game in the last 10 years is basically a modification of a previous game.
Okay.
EverQuest, Eve.
I mean, if you want to be broad like that, sure. Okay, fine. And that's probably not the case for every game, but probably every game we know of.
Yeah, I mean, so when did they launch the first NBA game, right?
Oh, 91, 92, I think.
So it was like the first real basketball game. Same thing with NFL. It was one of the first.
Unless you count Atari basketball.
It's questionable at best. Right? But every advancement has been just a modification to the game. They take the game, they make it better. They make better graphics because we have better computers. But even like go through the App Store.
Yeah.
Right? Voodoo, Sudoku, all of those it's all the same game with slight variations. In
those cases, yes, I'll agree with you.
All the Candy Crush games, they all follow the same basic function. Like it's all the casino games, right? They're all the same game, just with slightly different odds and slightly different slots, slightly different winning ratios and loss ratios. Every casino is and that's my point is if you have 10 grand and 90 days, find a game type that is performing well and basically come up with a variation of that game that is in some way different that would make would want to make people play it. Right? Like my wife is hooked on Wooduku. I downloaded and I tried it. And after one night I was like, yeah, no. Right? Like just not my type of game.
Yeah.
Not that I game a lot. I like mindless games,
yes.
Right? Where I don't have to do too much. So like Candy Crush for me is brilliant because I can sit there and watch the news or do whatever, even work sometimes. And you're just kind of like moving things around and like, it's not a big deal. Right. And there are, God, how many variations now of that game?
Oh,
like there's thousands.
Thousands of them.
So,
all right.
Because once again, we're getting to a minimum viable product.
Right.
And you can get a game to be a minimal viable product, probably in 90 days, by just doing a little bit of research on, even go look games that are up and coming. Don't look at the top 10 games.
Yeah.
Look at the games that are a little bit further down.
Right.
Download them, try them, and go, oh, this would be really cool if. Right? Now you might have something you could do in 90 days because you don't have to map out the entire thing. You're just saying, hey, we're going to use this idea as a base, but we're going to modify it like this. And I always say it's always easier to take something and modify it than necessarily come up with an idea and start from scratch.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
I agree.
we're not reinventing the car. We're just finding ways to make the car better. Right? We're not reinventing the phones. We're just finding ways to make it the perfect size or a better camera or the user experience better. Like,
Well, think about it. In the last 10 years, that's really all there is.
that's yes.
There really hasn't been any real major advancements in the phones.
Not since the iPod.
Yeah.
Right? And not even the iPhone, since the iPod, because like the iPhone works identical to how the iPod used to work.
Right. Just with the phone.
Correct. So, like, once again, you don't have to be, and I say this all the time, you don't have to be first to market. You don't have to have, a brand new idea. Like, one of the things, so I got to talk to the developers of Eve. Do you know what game that is?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. So I got to talk to the developers of Eve. And I didn't realize until I talked to them that the thing that actually makes Eve such a unique game is their economic system that they use in the game. They actually had 2 economic professors come up with the economic system for the game.
Yeah, we talked about this. I remember.
And it was fascinating because they're like, we could have made it whatever. We could have made it a copy of EverQuest, whatever. We just decided to make it spaceships and planets and trading posts. What makes the game so unique is the economics of the game.
Because there's a finite resource.
Correct.
Yeah,
there's a single.
we talked about this
There's
a
a
while
single
ago.
resource, I believe, that is a finite. So like that. Once it's all harvested, that can only be traded. Like there is no other way to advance, which forces that to be traded in the game.
Yeah.
Right. Because it is a core element. It's a really cool concept. But once again, they took the concepts of a different game. They said, okay, instead of lands and cities, we're going to make it planets and bases.
Yep.
And then you fly your spaceship around instead of driving your car or being on horseback.
Right.
It's just
Oregon Trail in outer space.
Yeah. So like there are things like that where you can take something, the base idea is there, but they looked at it and said, how do we make this different from everything else? And the answer was the economics of the game.
Yeah.
Which was really cool because it's one of those things that as a user, you don't necessarily think about when you're downloading an RPG game, right? You don't go, oh, what are the economics of this? Right? It was like, I was a huge EverQuest guy back in the day.
Oh,
like I would
good
spend
game.
hours.
That was fun.
It was a fun game, right? And I was in a guild, whole 9 yards, because at some point you realize that you were only able to master certain crafts with your character, right? So either you had to go through and then level a second character in order to be able to master a craft, or you would join a guild where you then had access to other players that had mastered a craft and were able to do stuff for you. And then you had to master something to trade it in. So the skill set became the economics of that game because you could get almost any resource. They were differently hard to get. Like that's why we did raids and all that stuff.
Right.
But it was the skill sets of the characters that became the tradable asset, so to speak, in the game. So it was how you decided to level your character and what you decided to specialize in, which was, once again, kind of cool, but not a novel idea.
So bringing this back to Funhat 6813, 90 days you can build a game. $10,000 you can probably build it. You'll need some help with some things, but you can build the game in 90 days. Identify what it is. Identify what kind of game you want to build. I know what you're saying about it. It's a derivative of something that's already out there. I get it. I think there's a little more to taking something that's there and just modifying it slightly versus taking a genre that exists and building something within that genre. I think that's a little bit different. Okay. So yeah, you can do it within 90 days. Yeah, absolutely. Be prepared to put some long hours in.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that can absolutely be done. But at the same time, don't limit yourself to 90 days. Shoot for 90 days,
Correct.
right? That's your goal. But if it's 100 days or 110 days, that's okay too.
Do you have any other type of software or anything that you could do in 90 days and 10 grand? Because that's the only thing I can think of that might actually be viable.
I mean, you could build it. It depends on what the product does. You could build a SaaS product in 90 days.
That does what?
Well, that's the thing. What does it do?
Right.
I don't know what it does.
Correct. And that's like, if you had to come up with an idea, you have 90 days to do it and 10K, what software, what?
I mean, it depends who you're talking to. Like, if you gave me the idea, I can build you almost any, and if I had like 90 days straight to work on it, I could build you almost anything in 90 days. I could rebuild Facebook in 90 days, probably faster than that. But I would need the idea. I would need to know what you want it to do.
But he's asking for an idea.
Yeah, he's asking for ideas. I know.
So like, I'm trying to figure out like what.
No, I like the game idea. Build a game. Building games is fun. Once you understand pixel collision, which is the hardest part of building a game, once you understand that, building games is fun. It really is.
So between the two of us, that's the only thing we can come up with
for right now.
Yeah, and for that budget and that time frame.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's where I would lean towards.
All right. Well, good luck to you, Funhat6813. If you do wind up building something within the next 90 days, put it in the comments. We'll check it out.
I'd love to see what it ends up being.
All right. Let's see. Omegle, but with less sex and more music.
What?
Random act. Well,
what is Omegle?
We talked about this before. You don't remember? It's like chat roulette.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Hold on. Let's see. A cold Christmas in Britain. That sounds like he's setting us up. Two boys with a shared love for music and the internet have a break from their working lives. With beer and pizza as our fuel over a weekend, we built a space. This is good. This is from Adam, just Adam. A space where anyone, anywhere can hang out, chat with others, and discover some new music. The site features one-on-one random chat rooms, Omega style, as well as public group chat. At the cost of 48 sleepless hours, we had our own space. And the best part? It's totally free. No signups, no credit cards, no data stored. It's actually a lot easier for us that way. We just run the occasional ad and work with sponsors. That's pretty cool. And then they go on and talk about how they made other websites and things like that. So that's kind of cool. So yeah, I like it. So the way Omegle works, you're on your phone, you just hit randomize and it'll bring up someone random to talk to. Right. This could be the kind of the same thing with music.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. I like that.
It's kind of what we did in the car the other day where I was like, hey, have you heard of this band?
Oh, yeah, you and I were doing that. That's right, yeah.
You're like, no, have you heard of this band? No,
yeah, right.
Yeah, it's another way of doing it.
It is. That's kind of cool. So,
and I have to admit, like, there's a lot of nights where I'm sitting there with my scotch and my cigar and I'm randomly just going to artists that I've never seen on YouTube and just listening to songs and... Like it would be cool.
What would be cool? Yeah, again, I'm sorry.
No, it would be cool if I could be on my phone and just sap through and if I hear someone listening to something I like, go, hey, what other bands do you like?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's exactly right. It's the act of involving another person will open you up to so many more bands and different music than just randomly finding music.
Oh yeah.
Because they'll be like, oh yeah, there's this great band that just started blah 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 out of Norway or something like that. They're fantastic.
That's actually how I discovered, what the hell's the name of the band that sounds just like Led Zeppelin?
Oh, we talked about this before. I don't remember their names.
I'm going to have to look it up.
Yeah, I don't remember.
But that's how I discovered it. I was listening to Zeppelin and someone was like, hey, have you heard of this band? Because they sound just like them. And I looked them up and the very first song that Highway Tune is the name of the song. I remember the song name.
Right.
Greta Van Fleet.
Oh, okay.
It's the name of the band, right?
You told me about that, yep.
So I put this Highway Tune by Greta Van Fleet on and I'm like, this could be a Missing Zeppelin song. Like it sounds just like Zeppelin.
That's so cool. Sounds like Jimmy Page.
Oh yeah, the guitars and everything. Yeah, he similar. And,
really?
And the singer sounds just like him.
Awesome.
It's weird. But if it wasn't for the fact that I had someone else with me and happened to put Zeppelin on, I never would have found out. Well, because
Jimmy Page is a very, very unique sounding guitar. That's cool.
Look up Greta Van Fleet, Highway Tune.
I will.
It has that. Like I said, it sounds like a Missing Zeppelin song. But if it wasn't for the fact that someone else would have mentioned it,
right,
it could have taken years to discover that band or even hear about it, right? Because you think about all these artists that you've never heard about, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Do you follow Drumeo on TikTok?
No.
Okay, so it's hysterical. So Drumeo brings in like heavy metal drummers and like punk drum, they bring in drummers, and what they do is they let them listen to a song, and it's just the singing portion of it, and then they have to come up with the drum line for the song, right? Like it's really cool. So they brought in, I forget what his name is. Damn it.
Relax. Relax.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember his name because he's a really cool guy, right? So he's listening to the song and he goes, "Who is this? I've never heard this before." He's like, "Why is it so monotone? Why is it just, oh, there's a word solo in the song?" And he's like, "I don't even know where to start with this." He's like, "Who is this?" Right? So it's like a 6-part, and I had to see like when they tell him who it is. So like he does the drums and all that stuff. And it's the first time I've been able to listen to this artist because his drums to this track were freaking amazing. Right. And then he's done. And then he goes, "Okay, are you guys going to tell me who it is?" And they go, "Yeah, that was a Taylor Swift song." And he's like, "Oh, I've never heard." He's like the biggest like musician on the planet. He's like, I've never heard this song.
That's
like,
funny.
But it kind of makes you realize like even people in the music industry wouldn't be like, he would not have been able to identify that it was a Taylor Swift song, right? And you think you, as someone that just casually listens to music, have heard of all these artists?
Right. You wouldn't.
Like, no,
absolutely
never.
not.
Like,
I mean, I'll give you a great example of that. So my son is hugely into Pink Floyd. Like, I can't even describe how huge he is into Pink Floyd.
Do you know what I? So just
Go
sorry.
ahead.
Do you know what one of my favorite pastime activities is?
What?
Is going on YouTube and finding reaction videos for people hearing Comfortably Numb
for the first time. Oh, I've seen those,
dude. Like
I've seen people cry.
Yes, because it's one of those things. I wish I could hear Comfortably Numb for the first time again. I know. Right? Like, yeah. Because even now I get emotional listening to the song. Yeah. Right. And I remember the very first time I heard it because my dad was a huge Deep Purple, Pink Floyd fan. And I remember he handed me an album and I had a record player in my room. Yeah. And I went and I put it on the record player. And I just remember sitting there listening to that album and I listened to the entire thing. And I was like, whoa, like it was almost like a life-changing experience. You were like, where did this take me? Because like you zone out while you listen to that album.
Totally. The whole album is fantastic.
Yeah. So anyway,
he's a huge Pink Floyd fan, and obviously I grew up with Pink Floyd. I loved Pink Floyd, and I still do. I mean, so it's still one of my favorite bands. And I was like, it's the mellowness of the music that I think he really enjoys. So I said, your band. I said, you know what?
Sigur Rós.
I said, Michael, that's my son's name. I want you to listen to Sigur Rós, right? And he's like, "What's that?" I was like, "It's a band from Iceland." I remember my friend Gummy. He actually, he knows the guys. Blah blah blah. I was like, "It's a great band." And I put on Sveven Genglar, right?
Svep Genglar.
What is it?
Svep.
Oh, Svep. I thought it was Sveven
Genglar.
Svep Genglar.
Yeah. So it's a play on words.
Yeah.
So Svep means sleep.
Okay.
And Genglar, the reason they separate the G is because the last part is actually angels.
Oh, okay.
But the way they are playing with the words, it actually means sleepwalkers or sleepwalking angels.
That's pretty cool.
It's the play on words. It's kind of cool.
I put it on for him, and he normally during some songs he'll like make a few comments here and there, but he's just sitting there listening. I couldn't tell if he liked it or not, right? And then the song ends. I'm like, "What do you think?" He goes, "Dad, that's one of the greatest songs I've ever heard in my life."
Yeah. Do you want to hear a funny story about those guys?
Yeah.
So they start their band, right? Like, and they're doing music, and they have no way to record. Right? Because they couldn't afford to go to a studio or any of that stuff. So if I remember my buddy telling me correctly, the way they managed to do it was they went to a studio and offered to clean it. So they They were able to work in the studio and cleaned it, and that's how they earned their studio time to be able to make their first album.
That's pretty cool. So they produced it themselves.
Yeah, so it was produced in studio. I think they got the producer there to help them, right? But they couldn't afford the studio time, so they literally worked for the studio to earn their studio time.
Good for them.
I know. Like, talk about blood, sweat, and tear type stories. Like, and the patience, right? The being willing to work to be able to go in.
How old were they when they produced their first album?
I want to say mid-20s.
Okay.
Maybe.
So it's about average.
I can tell you because the guy in the band is actually, well, he was my classmate. So like,
I figured he's about the same age as you.
Let's see, when they released their first album was Auge des Byrjun. It was released in 1999. So he would have been 23 at the time.
Wow. Crazy.
Yeah.
Good for them. Man, that's awesome. But see, that's a solution to a problem.
Yes.
We don't have any money to rent studio time. How can we get in a studio? Let's go do some work for the studio.
Yeah. Let's
I
go
like
clean
it.
it.
I like it a lot.
Yeah.
That's great. So no, but this app sounds really cool. I like this. I like randomly, because sometimes on a Friday or Saturday I'm not doing anything. I'd love to hear some new music.
So here's the thing. I was talking to someone this morning. We had a board meeting this morning, right? So this app is I love this idea, but why stop at music?
Oh, it could be a variety of things.
Correct. So you could have like sections of it.
Yeah.
Like I was talking to the guys this morning and I said, it's the winter months here right now. And I'm realizing that I'm missing some of the social interactions that I normally have with a group, right? Like, because we go golfing, we hang out, like even you and I, you have your barbecues and like all those things. And in the wintertime, all that stuff just goes away, right? So I was asking them, like, would you guys be interested if I organized like a
indoor golf, I think you said, right?
Yeah, indoor golf. But I went beyond that. I'm like, what if we do, a buddy of mine owns a cigar lounge, right? And it has a private room in the back. I'm like, what if I organize a cigar night? What if we organize a bourbon tasting, right? Where we can either tell people, hey, bring your favorite bourbon and share it with others, or we'll pre-buy some bottles. But like, I can't tell you how many times I've discovered bourbons or whiskeys or cigars because I'm at the lounge and I'm talking to the guy next to me and I'm like, hey, I like the cigar you're smoking. And they go, yeah, it reminds me a lot of this cigar. And I'm like, what cigar is that? Right? And they're like, oh, it's...
And before you know about 5 new cigars you never heard of before. Yeah.
And that's how like I discover a lot of new like whiskeys. That's how I discover a lot of new cigars.
Oh, I can see that being used for beer.
Beer, food. Right? Like sharing your favorite meal. Like once you discover what your favorite meal is, oh, here's 10 other things that are in that same genre.
There's some great wines and stuff. Oh, man.
Dude, when I discovered pho for the first time.
You mean Vietnamese pho?
Yeah.
Oh, one of my favorites. Oh, I was so good.
Yeah.
So good.
A guy that worked for me was married to a Vietnamese lady.
Oh.
And he's like, hey, come. I told him one day.
And she made it from scratch?
No.
Oh.
So, even better. So I told him, I'm like, hey, because I make it a routine. I always take everyone that works for me out for lunch at least, once a quarter, just so we can sit and talk and I can get to know them and all that stuff. So I was like, you get to pick the restaurant. So he picked this Vietnamese restaurant. And I'm like, I've never tried this stuff. He's like, oh, we got to go there. So we go there and there's this lady that comes out from the kitchen. And he orders his usual in Vietnamese, which was very impressive to me because he's like me.
Yeah.
And they bring it out. And as this lady brings out the soup, you can obviously tell that she was in the kitchen cooking, gives him a kiss and then walks away. And I was like, what was that?
Where's my kiss?
He was like, oh, that was my wife. So not only did she cook it, she also owned the restaurant.
Right.
But yeah, I remember sitting there trying it for the first time. And like this restaurant makes authentic, not like a lot of foods get Americanized.
Yeah.
No. This is like how they make it there.
Good.
Oh my God.
Oh God. The pho is like, especially in the wintertime when it's cold out and you had the nice warm bowl of soup. Oh my God. It's so good.
But if it wasn't for him introducing me to it, not in a million years would I have stopped at this specific restaurant and gone, oh yeah, let me try a bowl of Vietnamese soup, right? Like it just
you're right. It doesn't sound tantalizing, does it?
But so yeah, I think stuff like this. Once again, like you got to the gamification of things. I think stuff like this is where you get introduced to new things. Through this type of stuff is brilliant. Yeah. And I know I bring up TikTok a lot, but like the TikTok lives sometimes are kind of like this because I scroll through sometimes and I'll see 4 guys and having a huge whiskey collection behind them. And then I start listening in and they're talking about like whiskeys and all kinds of stuff. And like sometimes I'll just stop and listen and learn because like I don't have the time in the world to go research every whiskey, right? But if I hear someone says, oh yeah, I really like, I don't know, Dalmore, right? And then they go, yeah, another favorite of mine is Jura. I was like, what's Jura?
Yeah.
I've never heard of that one. So I went out and I bought a bottle of it. And guess what's now my new favorite whiskey, right? But if it wasn't for hearing about it
Right.
from someone
You
else,
wouldn't have known.
wouldn't have thought of picking it up ever.
Well, that makes this idea even cooler then. So yeah, I like this. Start with the music, and that once that picks up, start getting into other categories too. I love it. It's great because part of the problem with Omegle and Chat Roulette is it is a lot of people. You get people on there and they're naked or they're doing some type of sexual activity you don't want to see.
Ban.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And that's not necessarily what you want to do.
No, I like this idea.
No, it's kind of cool. So Adam, good luck to you. All right, let's see. No. No. Well,
I think we talked about this before.
I think we may have. I'll skip that for now.
Yep.
Oh, let's see.
I feel like this forum ends up being a lot of software stuff.
It does sometimes. Let's go to a different forum. Let's go to entrepreneur. Let's see what entrepreneur has to say. Okay, I like this question because a lot of people have asked this. This is from Final Pipe 2503. When are you considered an entrepreneur? The moment you start investing stuff, or after you've made your first earnings, or after your business is stable and successful? What's your opinion? I would say as soon as you start putting your time, energy, and money into a business, that makes you an entrepreneur.
I'll go further back than that.
Okay.
My daughter wants to set up a lemonade stand to start making money. And she is already designing the stand that apparently I will be building.
But that's now putting her time and energy into something.
Correct. So, but I would say the moment she started thinking about how to make money in other ways than working directly for someone else, made her an entrepreneur.
So thinking about it is the... There's a lot of people come up with ideas and think about this, don't actually do anything with it.
So I think that is what gives you the entrepreneurial mindset.
Sure.
I think when you take the first step. When she started drawing what she wanted.
Then she's an entrepreneur. Yeah. Yes, I agree.
She has started the process of entrepreneurship.
Once you've started expending energy toward that idea, then I think you're an entrepreneur.
Comes back to what I was saying earlier, right? It's not the big decisions because you can decide, I'm going to open a business. Well, if you don't take that first step and start drawing out what you want inside of that business, you're never going to do it.
Exactly.
So the fact that she started drawing out what she wanted the stand to look like, now there's no way in hell that I'm going to be able to build this stand. It's going to be a very ugly version of her stand. Yeah. But the fact that she started taking steps towards it, and she started looking up lemonade recipes. She started asking me, how do I make lemonade? Because I cook like a lot, right? So I explain to them why I do certain things and foods and ingredients. And we were reading one of the Disney stories about a beignet competition that the Princess and the Frog, what's her name?
I never saw it.
Okay, so
my kids were much older by
then. She
then.
goes to France to compete in a beignet contest, and her secret ingredient is nutmeg on the beignets, right? So she already started asking, can we put a secret ingredient in my lemonade that makes it better, right? And I was explaining to her that, what sweeteners you use can change the flavor, whether you use 100% real lemon or you use citric acid and all these things. So I ended up with lemons and premixed lemonade and citric acid and fake lemon juice. And she wanted to start testing making lemonade. So
that's the entrepreneurial spirit right there, man. I love it.
I was like, I am so impressed, and I'm trying to encourage her to, let's by summer, like by end of June, the goal should be we should have developed the recipe for your lemonade.
Yep.
And we should have the stand ready. And I've already prepared her that she might only sell 2 lemonades on her first day. But if she's going to do it, we might have to commit to having that lemonade stand every Saturday for at least a month before she starts seeing customers.
Yep.
But yeah, I would say she is an entrepreneur and she's 8.
That's great. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right? So
No, nothing wrong with that at all. Get that mindset early.
right. So I think you and I both agree on it. It's when you start taking the first steps.
Yeah.
Right. You have the entrepreneurial mindset, but you don't become an entrepreneur until you take that first step, however small that is.
Yeah.
The moment you go out and buy those lemons, right, it's part of it.
I mean, when I was 10, maybe 11 years old,
Mhm.
I used to go to a couple days before Christmas. I would go to the local pharmacy. I forget. It wasn't CVS or anything at the time. I forget what it was. But this particular pharmacy by my house would always sell things. You know, everything's like half off after Christmas. Well, for some reason, a couple days before Christmas, they would start that sale.
Yeah.
So I would go and I would buy a bunch of stuff. And then I would go around to houses and knock on the doors and sell it.
Yeah.
Right. I'd buy it for $2. I'd sell it for $4 or $5. And, I inevitably would get rid of everything. And people loved it. That's an entrepreneur right there, 10 years old, you know?
Yeah. I remember like when I had to take my first job because I saw this bike that I wanted. And my parents said, if you want it, you're going to have to figure out how to buy it. So I took my first paper route. And I remember doing that paper route. And one Saturday I was like, there's got to be a better way to make money than this.
There is.
Yeah, but that was my beginning journey of not wanting to work for someone else. And since that day, I spent the rest of my life figuring out how not to work for someone else, that there's got to be a better way to make money, right?
The only reason I took a job out after college was to learn business, to learn because, I had my, business major, but you don't really learn how to run a business in college. So I worked for 2 different corporations over about 3.5 years, learned quite a bit. I was never just the guy that would just do my job and go home. I'm talking with the CEO. I'm trying to learn from them. I'm trying to, I was working with a $2 billion company before I went out on my own, and I'm sitting with the CEO learning from them how to do things. And I still use some of those things today.
So I took a different route. I decided that in order to learn business, I had to learn every aspect of it. So I took jobs with anything from cleaning the business to warehouse management, to sales, to management. And I worked in all of those roles for years. And it's amazing how I've used little bits of everything that I learned along the way to do what I do today.
Yeah.
Like I remember when I took the job for a startup, it was basically a startup restaurant. They had been around for like 6 months and there was no guarantee that restaurant was going to even survive the summer. Right. But I went on board and I took a job with them because I wanted to learn, like, what does it take to build a restaurant basically from scratch? Because a 3-month-old restaurant is in its infancy, right? You're still learning how, like, okay, what are the menus going to look like? What wines are we going to offer? What's the service level going to be? Like they were still figuring all the little details out. And it was a fantastic learning experience.
Yeah. And that's a lot of times what entrepreneurship is. It's not going out there and making $1 million right away. It's little steps along the way where you make connections. You learn how to actually build and structure a business. You learn what not to do in a lot of cases. You learn about money, which is 95% of the people, and especially in the United States, don't even know what money really is and how to use it properly. They think it's for buying stuff. That's not what money's for. It's so not in business anyway. So you learn so much about yourself, about running a business along the way, starting at 8, like your daughter, or, starting in high school or wherever this person is. When are you an entrepreneur? As soon as you put some energy into it and just keep doing that.
I still remember the day I quit my sales job, and it was a cushy job.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I had it easy in that job. I had a company vehicle, company cell phone. I was working maybe 30, 35 hours a week. Like it was a cushy job. And one day I was like, I can't do this anymore because I ended up, it was actually my uncle owned the company with a partner. My uncle wasn't involved and the partner took over and I started seeing stuff where I was like, this is questionable at best. Like, I don't want to be around this. But I left that job and I took a job as a commission salesperson for a guy that at the time was starting a web development company.
Okay.
Now, keep in mind, this is 2003. And we've had this conversation before. I said, like, my first cold calls were, have you heard about this thing called the internet? Right. But I always remember I was talking to him, and he's kind of the guy, I credit him with a lot of my success, both in business and in life. He was in his 50s when I met him, and he had started 13 businesses, which were all in operation under its original EIN number still.
Oh, wow.
Anything from, so he actually started his career as a rally car driver, and then he started some kind of food company and all kinds of stuff. And he was working on the company I was with which was the web development company that we ended up, I franchised that business for him. So he took me to the UK. I got to talk to some of the top like franchise experts and how to develop systems. I got to meet the founder of WSI, which is one of the largest internet franchises in the world.
Yep.
Actually got to spend like almost a week with him, just learning. And
that's awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah, like it's all kinds of stuff.
That is so invaluable.
But I was paid shit, right? Because I was a commission sales guy, not working on selling at that point.
Right.
Right. So like I was selling on the side and doing these things. And then we took on a couple of big projects, and he was like, I'm going to pay you a little bit more, but I want you to project manage this as well because you have the best relationship with the client. Mm-hmm. So I learned how to manage software projects and development and waterfall drawings. And like, I didn't realize at the time that like he was educating me through having me do different types of work.
That is cool.
And by the time like I left, and so actually the way it ended was I came to the US because he wanted to open up operations in the US.
Yeah.
And I had been here for not even a year when I get a phone call from him. And it was weird because he never called me, because at the time it was international rates, right? Like, so all communication was email or Skype, but he actually called me.
Yeah.
And he goes, I got something I need to discuss with you, because he had actually given me 5% of the company back in Iceland. So I had equity in the main company, right? And I had equity in the US company, which is actually how we did the management transfer, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
So he calls me and he goes, so I've decided to sell the company. And you have two options. He's like, you can either stay on, keep your equity, and this new guy becomes your partner, so to speak, and you can keep doing what you're doing. He's like, or we can negotiate in the buyout process that you get the North American rights to all of our software, because he has no intention of keeping going in the US. And it was one of those moments. I knew the guy that he was selling to, and I was like, I don't want to.
Yeah, you don't be partners with that guy.
No. So basically I was in the US at that point in time, with a place to stay, someone to give me roof over my head and feed me if I absolutely had to.
Yep.
But basically it was, now you're on your own. It's now your business. You got to figure this out. Actually, all the designers, all the software programmers, when they found out that I was splitting out, all wanted to come with me. Cool. And I told them all, like, I have no revenue. Like,
right.
We were doing legwork here. Like, I haven't started selling, right? Like, not really, because we were doing all the prep work and the legal and everything that comes with the franchising in the US. So yeah, I basically got the rug pulled from out under me and had to figure it out. Like, from that day on, it was, if I was going to make any money, I had to go make it.
Yeah. And look where you are now.
Well, yeah.
Took some time to get there, but
yeah.
But I mean, look at all the things you learned along the way.
Mm-hmm.
You might not have learned half of it if you weren't thrown to the wolves like that.
And it's odd because, like, now when I hire people, especially straight out of college, I always tell them, I'm not going to pay you really well your first year, because your first year, you're going to learn more than you did in the 4 years of college. So I don't want you to consider this as your dream job. The first year is us going to be teaching you and seeing what you're capable of. And then after the first year, we can have the conversation of how we should be compensating you long term. Yeah. And it's a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people coming out of college, right?
Yeah, because they have these dreams of making $200,000 right away and living in nice apartments with nice cars.
Correct.
Where the heck was that? That doesn't exist.
But we found out that almost everybody that comes to us with a college degree that was specialized in anything that we do, 95% of the knowledge they have is useless to us.
Yeah.
So we literally have to spend almost a full year training them, first untraining them from what they learned, to then train them how to do the job properly, right? And I'm like, that is time and effort and money on our behalf that we're spending on you to make you a better employee, not just for us, but if you decide to leave here in a year or 6 months, whatever it is, then you will have a much better opportunity to do so.
Agreed.
And I've had software developers that used to work for us that ended up at like Ubisoft and Amazon Web Services. And
we had a bunch of guys here that wound up at Comcast.
Yeah.
Comcast scooped them right up.
Oh, yeah.
We trained them for a year and then they went over to Comcast.
The funny thing is, like, when the first one went to Ubisoft, we were like, oh, that's really cool. And then the second one went and we're like, wait a minute. And then the third one went and then we're like, are they like hunting us down? So I called the first lady that went to Ubisoft and I asked her flat out, and I'm like, are they headhunting people that come from us? And she's like, oh yeah, they were so impressed. They asked where I got my training. So they're going on LinkedIn and finding other people that list that as a workplace and they're sending them job offers.
Oh man.
I took it as a compliment.
Yeah, but you can't compete against that.
No, I know, but I was okay because I've always said, I want people to use my business as a stepping stone. I want you to come work for me and learn so that you can have better opportunities, right? So like for me, that was like validation that what we were doing was actually working. Like we were taking them in, we were training them properly.
Right.
They were getting that extra level of education and we were compensating them, maybe not really well, but it gave them a pathway to even better opportunities. And that's always been part of our mission, for example. Like we literally have it written in our mission and mission statement that we want to be a stepping stone.
That is pretty cool. All right. We should move on to one more here. But let's see. That was, who was that? That was this guy here. Final Pipe 2503. I hope that gives you some information on, when you can consider yourself an entrepreneur. There's a variety of ways, but again, I think as soon as you start taking that first step toward building a business, and even if you don't wind up actually building it, it doesn't matter. I still think you're an entrepreneur for trying.
I know there's a stat out there somewhere that says that something like 73% of people one day want to work for themselves.
Oh, I'm sure.
And less than 7% actually do. Right? Think about the gap difference there. Right?
Oh, yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah. People want to do things, but they're not willing to take the steps necessary to make it happen.
And they're not willing to take the risks.
Yeah.
Right? So.
All right, we'll do this last one. This is from Uncle Dell with a K, Uncle Dell. Am I wrong for feeling this way? I'm a young boss with a small team of 6 employees. I just found out they plan to all go out for dinner together tomorrow and didn't invite me. I know I should be focused on the fact that they're all getting together, that they're all getting along, which genuinely makes me happy, but I can't help but feel upset that I didn't get an invite. Am I being immature for feeling this way? All right. No. So no, I don't think you're immature for feeling this way, but you shouldn't feel this way. And I'll tell you why. You're the boss. Okay. And so let me put it in military terms. So when I served in the military, there was rank, right? Obviously. And the higher your rank, the less you, as we said, fraternized with the people below you. And the reason was for two parts for that. Number one is so that you don't become buddy with the guy below you and then give him an unfair advantage, right? But number two, the more you become personal with somebody, they might actually start having less respect for the chair that you're in. So again, in the military, we say salute the rank, not the person, right? The more you make it about the person, the less respect that person's going to have for the chair or the rank that you're in. So it's the same thing when you're running a company. You be good to your employees, talk with them, get to know them a little bit, but don't let them know too much about you as a person, because there might be things in your past or something you're currently going through or whatever that makes them look differently on you. right? They don't want to see vulnerability in an employer. They don't want to see that. They want to know that you're the person that they can rely on, that they're going to get their paycheck, that they're going to be able to advance in their careers, that they have a solid company to go to every day to work. If you start showing them, because you go out with them for happy hour and things like that all the time anyway, if you start showing them vulnerabilities, because we're all vulnerable, we all have our own little idiosyncrasies and things that we do wrong or shouldn't be doing or whatever, they'll actually over time could start showing less respect for your position as the boss and the owner of the company. So while I understand you're like, hey, why wasn't I invited? Because you're not on their level. You're above them. They look up to you as the boss. And I feel like that's the way that's the kind of structure you need to keep in place. It's not that you're a dictator or a fascist and you're saying you will do this, but at the same time, you have to keep that perception of, being someone who is at a higher level than them.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's necessarily like a higher level, but the moment you have to fire the first person is why you realize you didn't want to go to that dinner.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right? Is
very big part of it. Very, very important part of
right.
it. Yes.
And if he's new, he has a small team. It's his first time doing it. The moment you have to sit down for the first time and fire someone is when you realize why your employees aren't your friends, right? And it, for me, it has nothing to do with whether they look up to me or whatever. There has to be a clear line between who is the friend and who is the authority, right? And it doesn't have to be that you're above them or any of that stuff. Like in the military, for example, like in the military, the higher up you are, the higher your authority. With a business, you can be friendly. You can take them out.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
But it changes the dynamic of the event as well. So if your team is out becoming friends, becoming closer.
Cool. Great.
Very cool.
Let that be organic though and do it on its own. Don't be a part of that.
And just remember, the better friends they become, the more upset they're going to be when you have to fire one of those six, right? So I am all for friendships in the workplace. But everybody has to remember, both the employees and the employer, that you can have work friends and you're bonding around work. And like my wife gets into all these groups at work and she goes out to dinners and all this stuff. And the only thing that really ties them all together is their work. Yeah. Like they talk about
but
work,
I'll
they
bet
do
you
things.
In that group of friends at work, they know who the weak link is.
Oh, yeah.
And if someone's going to get fired, I'll bet you that group knew about it before management did.
Oh, probably.
Like this person should have been out of here months ago.
Probably, right? And the first indicator is they stop getting invited.
Yeah. Yes. Right? Yes.
As
exactly.
a boss, that is something you can look out for.
Yeah.
Like when this not stops going, but stops getting invited.
Right.
So yeah, as far as this goes, is it immature to feel this way? It's not immature. It's just you're not further along in having had to do some of the things that make you realize that going out and hanging out with your employees isn't always the best idea, right? So like, I've gotten invites to employees, like their daughter was having a graduation or some kind of event, right? I will go to those out of respect for me being handed an invitation, but that doesn't mean that I'm all cuddly and want to hang out with them, right? Like when an employee of mine gets married, I do not go to the wedding, but I do send a gift, right? And I normally send them something I know other people wouldn't buy, right? So once again,
we're a Red Knight gift card.
Actually, the most popular item, believe it or not, because I hire a lot of young kids, the most popular item on the wedding registry that never gets purchased for them is the KitchenAid mixer.
Get out of here.
Nope.
Oh, they're the greatest.
I can't tell you how many of those I've bought.
They are the greatest.
And I will buy that, and that's
there you go. I like that.
Probably at least 4 times now have I ended up looking at
like
it.
Like $300, right? More than that?
They were $300 back in like 2009.
That's probably when I bought ours. Yeah.
I think the base model is now like $600.
Get out. Wow. Prices have really gone up.
And also, because I used to work in the culinary world. I don't buy the cheapest one because they're crap.
Yeah,
So I
buy good
always,
stuff.
I buy the better version. But like that's a sign of me showing them the respect, right? It's a way of me showing, I do care even though I didn't show up, even though I declined the invitation. But I don't know. I've never gotten that close to any employee that I had a hard time letting them go.
See, that's the reason why I will not hire friends or friends of friends, because number one, if there's a problem at work and I have to let you go, that friendship's going to suffer.
Yep.
It's going to suffer,
Yep.
and it also works at the second level as well.
You recently had something like this happen, right?
I went against my better judgment.
Yes.
I hired somebody.
So, let me be very clear. We have all done it. We have all hired that one person we knew we shouldn't have hired because they were a friend or a friend of a friend, and it went south, and that was our learning experience or reminder
well, funny you
for
say
why
it went south, because it wasn't working out. But one of my business partners who's in the South, actually, he was a better fit to work with that guy. So he actually moved south to go work with him. So that worked itself out.
Right.
But had that come to where he just wasn't working out and I had to let him go, that's a 10-year friendship gone.
Yeah.
And the second part of that, friends of friends, like someone's, hey, my wife's looking for a job. Nope.
Yep.
No, I'm not doing it because if I got to fire her, you're going to hate me for it.
Yes.
Even though she's the one doing the bad job.
And then there's going to be that awkward moment where you have to invite us to a barbecue.
Yeah, right.
And now you have to sit there as my friend and think about, well, should I invite both of them? Should I invite one of them? Will it be awkward if they're both here? Right? Like the longer you are an employer, the more you learn that there are these lines that you simply should not cross. Yeah. As far as I'm concerned.
Friendly, yes. Friends, no. No. So no, don't feel bad about it. I know why you feel bad about it. Gummy's right. You're probably a newer boss, a newer, manager. Oh, he actually says he's a young boss. So yeah, I totally get it. Let your group grow and become friends within the group. Don't insert yourself into that. Take them out as a thank you, as a bonus, as whatever you want, right? But when you're taking them out, make sure you're paying, right? Oh, yeah. Make sure that's clear that this is a business function. It is where you can be social, but it's a business function, but you're being social during it. Not this is a social function. We just happen to work together. You do not work with these people. These people work for you. Big difference. Yes. So keep that in mind.
It's interesting because you see this dynamic often cause issues when you have like a team and a team member gets promoted.
Yeah.
Right, within that team.
Right.
And now that new manager is in a situation where management says, hey, you got to cut one of your team members. Well, who are you going to cut? Right? They were all at your kid's birthday party yesterday.
Yeah, right.
So which one of them are you going to let go?
Exactly.
How do you think it's going to affect the other two?
In Band of Brothers, they talked about that. If during the war, World War II, if somebody had gotten a big promotion while in the field as part of their unit, they would move that person to another unit because they knew the other soldiers wouldn't respect the office as much.
Correct.
Because they knew him as the sergeant. They're not going to look at him as a lieutenant now. Right. So
it's very interesting. Yeah. I know. I think it's, I want to say it's Johnson & Johnson. They deliberately rotate employees.
Oh, I'm sure.
So I think you can only stay. It's only recommended, I think, that you stay in your work group or in your area for, I think, 2 or 3 years, and then they move you to a different one.
Okay.
And I believe, I could be wrong on this, but I believe if they move you up, you are always required to move to a different field as well.
Oh, interesting. I could see that.
So maybe
same reasoning.
Maybe HR watched Band of Brothers.
So Uncle Del, no, don't feel bad. You'll learn as you get older and as you start working with more and more people, becoming big, have more and more people below you. This is just the way it is.
Yep.
And there's nothing wrong with it. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. You want to go out with your team, you invite your team out.
It's actually a good thing they didn't invite you.
Yeah.
You just may not know it yet.
Exactly. So, all right, we're going to wrap it up there. Gummy, always a pleasure.
Likewise.
We have the Super Bowl in 2 weeks. Well, not this weekend.
You want to
but
hear something
weekend.
absolutely horrible?
I can't wait.
Oh, so I had to go today. Can't believe I'm saying this. Now there's going to be evidence. I had to buy two green shirts because my daughters are having green shirt appreciation week day next week.
Is this green shirt related to a certain football team in the Philadelphia area?
It might be. It might be.
Why does that bother you so much?
As a Cowboys fan, I can't believe that I'm having
I can't believe I'm having this conversation again.
I can't believe I'm having to buy green shirts.
Cowboys.
But I don't want my girls to feel left out.
Cowboys.
My wife's a Giants fan. That's what makes it even funnier. And now our girls are becoming green shirt fans.
I can almost understand the Giants. My best friend, his wife's a Giants fan because she's from New York.
I started watching.
Get it.
I started watching football in 1995.
When the Cowboys were good, I know.
What team back in the mid-90s would you have told people to watch to learn how to understand how football should be played?
Not the Cowboys.
What, the Steelers?
No, 49ers.
Well, 95, 96, 97?
Yeah.
Well, that could have been
even post Steve Young, the 49ers were pretty darn good.
So the 49ers and Cowboys were the two teams at the time.
Okay.
Right? I wasn't a huge fan of the 49ers, and they didn't show their games here because they're in a different division. Yeah. Right? So like I watched a lot of...
So the Eagles weren't good enough for you?
I went to a game once down at old...
Oh, the vet.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why you don't like the Eagles. Okay.
Exactly. Right. I was at one game and I walked out of there and I said, I do not want to be associated.
So for anybody who doesn't know what the vet is, it's Veterans Stadium. Okay. It came down in the early 2000s, like 2002 or 3, I think. It's replaced by the Lincoln Financial Field, which we call the Link now. The vet was the epitome of Lord of the Flies. It was survive survival of the fittest. It really was.
It is where Philadelphia got the reputation that you cannot show up in an opposing jersey.
Oh no.
Right?
You could not. I mean, it was the first stadium in the country to have an actual jail and a courthouse in the stadium.
In the stadium, yeah. Like that tells you everything that you need to know.
Yeah, but, no, the vet was, it was survive at all costs.
I can tell you though, things have changed a little bit because I was watching clips from the Commanders Eagles game. So they were showing clips from outside with Commanders fans and Eagles fans chanting together.
Oh yeah.
They were chanting "Dallas sucks" together.
Oh yeah, sure.
So they found something to agree on.
In common, yeah. Everyone agrees. You're either a Dallas fan or you hate Dallas. Yeah. That's really what it comes down to.
It was funny. Like that was the first moment I looked at it and said, "Okay, Eagles fans are becoming slightly more tolerant in the fact that they can actually have an opposing team, but still agree with them to hate the Cowboys."
Well, anyway, in a week and a half, Eagles are going to be in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs again. Knock on wood.
I can honestly say this is going to be the first time I think ever that I will be rooting for the Eagles.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It makes all the difference.
But it's just because I cannot stand Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes.
Why can't you stand Andy Reid?
I couldn't stand Andy Reid when he was here.
Oh, come on, you have to give that guy credit. He's a phenomenal football coach.
I get it, right? Like,
I mean, 5 times in the last 6 years.
I get it. Can I respect his profession and what he's done? Yes.
Okay.
Does that mean I have to like the guy?
Well, I'm not saying you have to go have a beer with him.
Can I respect Taylor Swift for what she's accomplished?
Okay.
Yes. Does that mean I have to like her music?
No.
Thank you. It's the exact same thing.
Music is a taste. Football is a talent. You either win or you don't.
Well, when you reach that level that Taylor Swift has, that's talent too, right? Like it's talent.
Yeah, but it's not. But it's taste. Just because she's the greatest at that level doesn't mean I still enjoy her music.
Yeah,
if I'm a football fan. I'm a football fan.
Doesn't mean I have to like her either, does it?
No, it doesn't.
Right, and we can bring this into anything, politics, whatever. Like you can respect the position without liking the person that does it.
Were we ending this podcast, by the way?
We were. I was sorry for bringing up the green shirt team.
They're called the Eagles.
Yeah, green shirt.
Just in case you weren't aware.
Green shirt
team. My dear Lord. All right. Well, hopefully we'll talk next week, and we'll be one step closer to Super Bowl time. All right, buddy. Have a great week.
Good luck.